Hi, Andrew. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be a guest on the Festival of NewMR to share with you some thoughts about mobile qual platforms. Um, and as a qualitative researcher, in addition to being the executive director of the Mobile Market Research Association, I've been fortunate to have a front seat view on the changing mobile qual landscape. Sometimes I've been a driver, meaning that I design the studies and do the programming, manage the field work, and do the reports as well. Other times I've been a passenger, where I'm simply evaluating various mobile qual platforms and speaking to the different vendors out there. From either viewpoint, I have to say I'm quite impressed with the quality and depth of features most of today's mobile qual platforms offer. Fortunately, most are also fairly easy to use as well, especially for a non-techie like me. But the key is really understanding mobile-first design thinking. And that means designing a study that actually works on mobile. You can have the greatest tool in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's likely to not work well. I've been test driving and cataloging a variety of mobile qual apps really since they were first introduced shortly after the introduction of the iPhone in 2007. In December 2009, I was part of the first MRMW conference in Berlin. For this conference, I was asked to create a taxonomy of mobile research apps. So to prepare for this presentation, I went to iTunes at the time and did a search for a variety of terms related to research, including all types of research: quantitative, survey, opinion polling, qualitative, ethnography, mystery shopping, etc. In 2009, I found 75 total apps that had anything to do with marketing research. There were only around 5 or 10 that were related to qualitative at the time. 2 months later, I was asked to present again and update my presentation. At that point, there were twice as many apps, there were around 180, than just the 2 months prior. Since then, the number of apps have skyrocketed for marketing research to over 1,000 different marketing research-related apps, and that's just on iTunes. When you narrow down the qualitative apps, these are some of the results for terms such as qualitative research on the far left, ethnography in the middle, and research community on the right. And some of these icons and some of these names may be familiar to some of us in the research industry, but most are relatively unknown to qualitative researchers. I'm speaking as a QRCA member, talking to others. Most folks don't do this or even know about qualitative apps. The interesting thing here is that many of the well-known firms in the industry who also have mobile apps in qualitative really can't even be found on iTunes using these common search terms. And I'll give you a for instance here. Here are some of the qualitative apps that are out there, but for whatever reasons, they just don't show up using the terms qualitative when you're searching on a store like iTunes. Many of these apps are categorized and listed only as business, lifestyle, productivity, or even shopping. So where does one look for mobile qual apps? Well, there's several good directories out there like Greenbook and Quirks, but even these publications don't go into detail to compare the features of each app. And in many cases, there are companies listing as mobile qualitative firms in these directories who don't actually make apps. They're often a mobile optimized website or maybe a consulting firm like Threads that has some experience using mobile but doesn't really own or create an app. So before I get into the taxonomy of mobile qual suppliers, I want to point out that there seems to be big differences in app design and features based on the developer background. For instance, if a company came to the market primarily as a technology provider, learning marketing research along the way, the features and the usability of that platform reflect a more technological point of view. There are other apps out there that were developed by researchers who had to learn the technology along the way. Now, while I won't go into this level of background detail with each app, I just want you to keep this in mind when evaluating mobile qual platforms, particularly if you're a non-techie. So for this presentation, also, I haven't reviewed every app available for mobile qual. Frankly, not all are available to the public. A lot of them are developed for private companies or they're held by big companies, and you can't get access unless you're either invited or you're a client or part of the team. So I focused my review here on the leading public apps, or perhaps the most visible ones within the research industry. and taking out those other parties, the other apps that can't be used by third parties. Also, I've excluded things like social media, which can be used for some types of qualitative research. For instance, you could create a group in Facebook or something like that, or Google Hangouts. I've also excluded academic programs and a huge variety of productivity apps, which could be used for qualitative research, things like Dropbox, Google Docs, Messages, etc. So let's get into the taxonomy. I've broken it down roughly into 5 categories. These categories are integrated online and mobile platforms, apps with panel, ethnography apps, community apps, and then finally, for lack of a better expression, others. Let's take a look at the integrated online and mobile platforms. These are like the Swiss Army knives of mobile qual platforms, with each offering a wide variety of tools and features. Some of the better-known integrated platforms are listed here, like 2020, AHA, Civicom, Focus Vision, iTrax, Touchstone, Visions Live, and Dub. Most, but not all of these, offer a full set of features, including full-fledged app, as compared to mobile web. Integrated online and mobile, where you can go seamlessly between online and mobile to respond, and every question is mobile enabled on an app. Community functions, having diary keeping, so for longer term things, keeping a diary with photos and videos. Bulletin board, so having open asynchronous discussions. IDI two-way phone cam, and mobile panel, in-house recruitment with incentives, and that's kind of key, is having someone that manages that can access and work within the platform to sort of prod everyone along, and also managing the dispersion of incentives. Instant DIY, and I'm going to touch on that in a moment, and of course assistance with setup and support. Note, out of all these integrated platforms here at the top, I've highlighted Dub as one that does not have an actual app, but they do promote mobile qual. Now, and not knocking them, I just want to share with you what the difference is. So Dub promotes device-agnostic software that is available through any device with an internet connection, which is basically mobile-optimized web. Because they don't have an app, they claim their platform is not limited to just Android and Apple devices and doesn't skew the data. All the other integrated platforms here have mobile web access, which is through a browser, as well as an app. So I'm not sure about the claim as a differentiator, especially given virtually all smartphones are either Apple or Android. The difference is, with an app, there are many more features that can be accessed, such as offline access, being able to deal with your data collection while you're not able to have an online connection, push notification, geolocation, and advanced ways of sending large files like videos that can be sent in smaller packets only when a strong signal like Wi-Fi is available. So out of all these features, I alluded to this idea of DIY. That one's getting a lot of attention currently. I think it's good, better, faster is kind of the keyword these days. So when you have an instant do-it-yourself platform, this is really more applicable for some of the other categories we're going to review in a moment. But some of the integrated platforms are starting to offer instant DIY services, which is kind of a new trend. This involves choosing your target market in a pre-selected set of variables, submitting a few questions, and having the participants recruited in a very short period of time, sometimes a few hours, from among the base of respondents who have already downloaded the apps. You just go in there, ask a dozen or so questions. You can place an order by entering your credit card and deploy the study, and you get back results very fast, sometimes within a number of days if tasks are involved. For qualitative, that's exceptionally fast. And if you're doing quant, which is big majority of the research apps out there, you can get responses back from hundreds of people within an hour or so. Next, we have on ethno apps, or ethnography apps, which are focused more on diary keeping, especially with rich media like photos and videos. Some of the pioneers in this field include Ethos App and Over the Shoulder. Both of these were started by researchers who learned the technology as they created smartphone apps to help them with their own studies. So you need some sample with your study? Let's take a look at the next category. These are apps that come with a panel. They have hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of participants have already downloaded the app, filled out a profile of who they are, and opted in to participate in studies. They're there because they want to make some extra cash doing it, and we're using these, as many of them are already traditional panel companies like SSI, ResearchNow, and Toluna. But I want to point out a few here that are sort of unique to mobile. These were created after the smartphone came around. And that includes Field Agent, M4, and GigWalk, which were created as services to appeal to both smartphone owners seeking additional income, as well as researchers who are seeking information. These advertise fairly regularly on social media to build more users. I'll talk a little bit about GigWalk. They came out of the gates very strong back in 2009. Well-funded group, but they've since dissipated. They were focused on crowdsourcing through the smartphone for part-time or small gigs like merchandising, trade show staffing, mystery shopping, and capturing photos in the field. Field Agent was created by some former P&G researchers who saw a need in the market to capture store-level data using agents to validate what is happening in specific stores, as well as understand the customer experience or some of their opinions about their shopping experiences. They've also moved into in-home user testing, or what's known as iHUTs. M4's Surveys on the Go is created primarily as a mobile survey platform that expanded to include qualitative. It's really a natural for mobile to include qualitative since respondents can submit photos, videos, voice, and text respondents to open-ended questions. The challenge still remains what to do with all that information once it's gathered. Some of these tools, the more advanced tools, will actually have analytic tools built in to the platform, and that's primarily in the integrated platforms. But some of the other ones do offer some basic text analysis tools or visual editing tools for video. And then on the community side here, we have community apps, and these are really for MROCs, or formerly known as MROCs, market research online communities. They have longer-term engagement. These communities are typically focused on a specific topic or interest, and there are many private community apps, some that are even white-labeled by the suppliers listed here for private use. On that note, many of the suppliers in this field will offer white label branding for your company or client. And if you're going to be engaged with a platform for a long time, it sometimes is helpful to have that, and particularly in a community app where you want your participants to have some sort of affinity for the brand that they're working with. And finally, let's see if this will click. There we go. Finally, we have others. This is really a mixed bag of apps, including a video survey platform like VoxPopMe, which is really an app with panel with a twist. They offer video responses to single questions along with instant crowdsourced transcription. Pollfish is another one. It's in that they've partnered with thousands of app developers around the world in multiple categories, from gaming, social, dating, travel, banking, and others, to intercept users while they're using the app to participate in a survey. They have this little fish that sort of pops up to offer an incentive, like in the middle of your game or in the middle of your search. You can either participate or not. If you choose to participate, it links back to a mobile web platform to ask the questions, in which anything can be submitted, including photos. They have access to around 390 million consumers through their partner apps, and they've built that up in a relatively short time, since about 2000 and I'd say 14. And last but not least is Adobe Connect. This is a web conferencing utility that can be used online and with mobile devices. It's sort of the main DNA, if you will, for a lot of different platforms. It has features that allow for recording live interviews from multiple devices at a time, such as webcam, phone cam, and screen view. I just conducted a study last quarter that I had all three of those going at one time, and it was really important to be able to see the room of where the participant was and get a tour of that, as well as see them using the product and see what was happening on their screen at the same time. So Adobe Connect allows that kind of activity to happen. So that concludes my review of today's mobile qual platforms and apps. These tools continue to evolve, and new features and functions are being released every day as mobile continues to evolve at exponential rates. To keep up with everything related to mobile research, I encourage you to check out the MMRA at mmra-global.org. Thank you very much.